Hi, everyone. My name is Hana Zumau. I am the Senior Marketing Specialist at WordRake. I'm joined by my boss, Ivy Gray, who is the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer, my cousin and previous coworker, Nick Rishwain, who is the Vice President of Client Relations and Business Development, and also the CEO of Experts.com, and my dad, Nabil Z. So some of you might recognize me from my previous time at Experts.com as the digital marketing strategist. And while I've been at WordRake for the last 3 months, I've noticed some similarities and differences between the legal tech space with editing software and the expert witness industry. And I think this project coming to life, which I'm very excited to spearhead with everyone, will help bridge those gaps. So let me start off by explaining why we're doing this. So the obvious is that clients hire attorneys and attorneys hire expert witnesses. And people who have worked with expert witnesses might think what I'm saying is painfully obvious. But for those who don't understand or have not worked with an expert witness, this is unfamiliar territory. People don't have a good concept of when an expert witness should be retained, how to find them, why they're necessary, and the roles and responsibilities that expert witnesses carry. So, Ivy, you've done this before. Can you tell me what you like about this project and the project's format?
Okay, so a huge thing is that I've only hired an expert witness a couple of times. So I think this is a great opportunity to help people get familiar with this role. And I specifically like this format for collaboration because in 2022, WordRake started bringing in subject matter experts and asking them about how they write, why they write, and what they think about. And people loved learning about what subject matter experts were doing. And on the fun side of that, the experts would also get new business and they would be quoted in magazines and other industry reports. So it would bring them a lot of visibility. So it was just a win-win all around. And I thought this was a great way to collaborate and bring everyone some joy and some business.
I was agreeing with Ivy. We all want more business. We love these types of partnerships. Intellectually, it's easy to say that writing matters to the expert witness because they have to write expert witness reports. Attorneys hire subject matter experts to speak objectively on the facts of a case. I stress objectively because that's what I want my experts doing. I don't want them doing subjective because that will come back to bite them eventually. And experts bear the responsibility of drawing conclusions based on evidence and reliable testing methods. And there are real life consequences to what they do. Their testimony has an impact on all parties involved. Hopefully it's beneficial to the party for the counsel that they've been hired by. Hopefully beneficial on that, but and especially in real sensitive cases, it could have the negative effect on the opposing party. So when they're writing these reports, we want it to be effective. We don't want jargon-filled, poorly communicated, and false testimony because that ruins reputations. It sets back the law firm and jeopardizes clients when they have something really, truly important to them at stake. So no expert under any circumstance wants to hear that justice wasn't served because of their testimony alone. They love to hear that justice was served because of their testimony alone. So you want to be clear from that. But from creation to essentially execution, crafting a well-spoken and well-written testimony requires, purposeful intent, as well as their expertise, and it requires some concise communication, and in a lot of cases settle after that written report.
All the more reason for it to be well written with WordRake. So
correct.
Perfect partnership.
If I may add, Nick, when you talk about testimony, people often think of verbal testimony and depositions and so on. However, big part of the battle, because very few cases ultimately go to trial. A lot of cases settle before trial. And we've heard from some of our experts at at Experts.com that some cases settle based on the expert witness report. So
Absolutely.
if you do an expert witness report that leaves questions for the other side or holes for the other side to attack, whether in theory or whether in the way it's written or how the ideas are communicated, you are, as an expert witness, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I'm thinking about this collaboration from a slightly different perspective. I always thought that we needed to offer expert witnesses a platform where they can constantly improve and where we add value to their membership with us. When we first started this 20 years ago, it came out of necessity because at the time I was looking for a certain expert witness when I was practicing law and I couldn't find one. And at the time, you couldn't really find somebody on the internet. You had to go through a broker. And I thought, why not cut the middleman out and give the experts a platform where they can market their services? And I viewed the world of expert witnesses as anyone with specialized knowledge that can help the attorney or the jury decide a case. And, you think of movies where My Cousin Vinny, where Marissa Tomei comes on the scene and she's never been an expert witness, but her dad was a mechanic, her brother was a mechanic, her grandfather was a mechanic, and she can tell you everything about a car. And that's what an expert witness is. Now, if Marissa Tomei had to write a report, I think she probably would have needed to have somebody review it, a written report versus an oral report. But we can always improve on our writing skills. I cannot tell you how many times I've written something and I come back to it a week later and go, oh my God, I cannot believe I wrote that. So there's always room for improvement in terms of how you present this. And I think WordRake changes the game a little bit. It's different than Grammarly or any of the other competition because it's deeper. It takes context into account.
Just to piggyback on that, WordRake is unlike other tools. It is a finely tuned collaborator meant for sophisticated writers and clear thinkers. And it will help you to hone your writing, get rid of that legalese, yet respect legally operative phrases, those things that you are asked to opine on. And it will respect the things that matter while making your written work better. So it's just a great tool.
So what you're saying, Ivy, is not just like ChatGPT where you plug it in and it will take things out of context because it thinks that's the better writing, which is a huge issue. We call it hallucinating, when the AI thinks it's doing something because that's how it learned, but it's really out of context completely.
Right. WordRake will not hallucinate. It won't inject anything into your expert witness report. It will not change the things that you have painstakingly chosen to put in there. It will just bring editing suggestions to your attention, and then you can accept or reject them based on your best judgment.
That's great.
That's
tool.
beautiful.
Great.
Excellent. We hinted that we're collaborating on this project, but ahead of this project, we're also doing the webinar.
I think writing is imperative to any industry, and it weighs heavily on expert witnesses because an entire case can hinge on the quality of the writing. And we would like to introduce another section of the legal audience to tools that can help them streamline the editing process, because they're obviously spending a lot of their hours, a lot of their build time researching, studying the case, bringing their professional background into the case that they're being retained for. Why not use editing software that can help them go through 200-page documents in minutes?
And right now, attorneys use WordRake.
Yes.
A lot of people in the industry, in the legal space, use WordRake. So it's a natural extension to have expert witnesses use it as well. If they're writing reports, they can run their report through it and have improvements on it. And I think the key point is that it's not going to rewrite it. It's going to suggest ways to make it better within the context of the writing. And I think that is a win-win.
I'd like to expand on that. If they're writing their reports in Word or communicating with attorneys and legal teams through Outlook, our software is an add-on to those two Microsoft services. So they'll have a 24/7 editor with one click of a button and at their fingertips.
One thing that I found when I had my limited experience working with expert witnesses, I didn't want my expert witness to go and use a tool that I didn't trust. I wanted them to work within the universe of tools that I trusted and to do their research and do their work within the world of trusted attorney tools. So by showing expert witnesses that they can use the same tools that attorneys are using, I think that opens up a whole new world and a whole new way to be efficient without worrying about any
Absolutely.
security.
That's a very important point. If it's attorneys trusted when they're doing their briefs, then there is nothing leaking out. There is no breach of that attorney-client privilege or attorney work product privilege or any of the privileges that protect the work product before it's made public.
And I'll add to what both Ivy and Nabil have said here. It's something that we talk about with our experts in our monthly office hours and conversations with them just on regular days, is that it's never harmful for them to be using the tool that lawyers are using. Using the same tools is usually beneficial. That's why we use Microsoft Office at our office. It's why I recommend Office tools, because predominantly attorneys are using Microsoft related items. Some smaller firms are using others, but the vast majority are using Outlook and Word and Microsoft Office. So I think it's good for them to be proficient in those tools because it's beneficial in their work with attorneys. It's good to have knowledge of the tools that they're using.
You know, we actually have a 21 video free library on using Microsoft Word and Outlook for legal purposes. So perhaps the expert witnesses would want to check that out.
I suspect they would. Report writing has always been an issue for experts, especially those new to the system who, you get bits and pieces from the attorney about what they want in the report. Some reports are 50 pages, some are 100 pages. Do they need to be that long? We need to probably do some more training in this because I don't see a ton of expert witness report writing training, but editing for clarity and conciseness is just helpful for everybody, right? Experts have their own jargon, and then they have what the lawyer is told them, then they have whatever's in the material that they've been reviewing, and that can add up to very wordy, very hard to read reports.
And I think sometimes when you're talking to an expert witness or you're interviewing an expert witness, this case is great. I think you're right. This is this and this is that. And then when you give them the facts and you give them they start going through the documents, their opinion may change. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, you do not know where the expert sat unless he or she committed it to writing. And once the expert commits it to writing, then they themselves have a clear idea of maybe I wasn't, or I shouldn't be that confident of the case. Maybe there's a hole in the case here. Maybe there's a gap here or there that we need to pay attention to. And the writing process helps you bring that up. It also helps the attorney who is reviewing the report before giving it to the other side. Said, wait a second, there might be an issue here. Are you communicating this correctly? Are you communicating this as concisely as possible? Maybe there's too much jargon here. So I think any help, any set of eyes, whether it is human or like WordRake eyes, is beneficial. I don't think you can lose out by having somebody else look at it.
So I think that this is going to be a great collaboration. It brings together. It's a seriously important aspect of expert witness report writing. WordRake is a fantastic tool for improving clarity and brevity in your writing. And I think this will be a great collaboration because we have the personal relationships here that add to the fun of doing such a collaboration. And we're two legal tech companies having a good time making content together, and I don't think you can go wrong there.